Here are the top stories for today, September 6, 2019. A Manila court orders the arrest of CPP founder Jose Maria Sison and several others for involvement in the Inupacan mass purge of the NPA. The PNP sees no need for arrest warrants against convicts prematurely released through good conduct time allowance. The Tagum LGU offers a reward for the arrest of the perpetrators of recent shootings in the city. And Miag-ao town in Iloilo promotes its textile industry by dressing up dolls in their native Hablon fabric.
Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. A Manila court has ordered the arrest of Communist Party of the Philippines founding chairperson Jose Maria Sison and several others. Sison is being held responsible for the killing of hundreds of residents in Inupacan, Leyte in what was believed to be a purge by the New People's Army. Benj Mondok has the story.
A Manila court has ordered the arrest of Communist Party of the Philippines founding chair Jose Maria Sison and 37 others, including rebel group leaders and members. The order was handed out 5 days before the commemoration of the Inupacan massacre in Leyte by families whose loved ones were among the hundreds of victims killed in a mass execution by the New People's Army in the 1980s. The Regional Trial Court Branch 32 in Manila issued the warrant of arrest dated August 28, 2019 against Sison, his wife Juliet, former National Democratic Front of the Philippines peace negotiators, among others. Also included in the arrest warrant are those charged with 15 counts of murder in connection with the Inupacan massacre. The Inupacan massacre, or mass purging, dubbed by the NPA as Oplan venereal disease, claimed the lives of about 300 residents in Leyte. Families of purging victims during the 12th commemoration of the massacre on September 2 continue to cry for justice for their loved ones who were summarily executed on the suspicion of their ties with the military. Charges were filed in 2006 after the skeletal remains of 67 victims were exhumed from shallow graves in Subang Daku village, Inupacan town, Leyte on August 28, 2006. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
National Security Advisor Hermes Esperon Jr. says he is bent on pursuing the perjury complaint he initiated against members of Communist Front groups. Esperon submitted his reply affidavit on Thursday at the Quezon City Prosecutor's Office, which is conducting a preliminary investigation into the case. Esperon noted that the offense is committed by persons who knowingly make untruthful statements before a competent person authorized to administer an oath. He insists that the respondents committed perjury, contrary to their assertion that no crime was committed and they were only being harassed. Esperon's complaint was in relation to the writs of amparo and habeas data filed by Karapatan, the Rural Missionaries of the Philippines, or RMP, and Gabriela against President Rodrigo Duterte, Esperon, and other high-ranking officials. The security advisor asserted the RMP misrepresented itself as a non-stock, non-profit corporation. The National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict hailed Education Secretary Leonor Briones for successfully defending the suspension of 55 Salugpungan tribal schools in southern Mindanao before the House of Representatives. Major General Antonio Parlade Jr. said the government is working effectively in ending local armed conflict by not succumbing to the pressure exerted on their budget. He said, by standing by its decision, DepEd is able to help the government stop the exploitation and recruitment of indigenous children into the ranks of the New People's Army. Briones said before lawmakers that the 55 Salugpungan schools were temporarily suspended due to their failure to comply with the requirements set down for private schools. Parlade accused leftist fronts of not wanting to miss out on the millions of euros which they will miss from their foreign donors. He added that it is ironic that the Makabayan bloc did not question DepEd on the ongoing recruitment of young children by Communist Front groups. He called for the unmasking of the so-called social activists who are involved in insurgency. Co-workers of a slain forest ranger in El Nido, Palawan are seeking justice for his murder, asking authorities to capture its killers who were allegedly illegal loggers. The Friends of Bienvenido Toto Veguilla Jr. have taken to social media their grief on the loss of the team leader of the law enforcement team of El Nido Taytay Managed Resource Protected Area. Some of them also started raising the bounty for the capture of his killers. Former DENR legal counsel Ludibeth Nangkil attested to Veguilla's dedication to work. Another co-worker, Ernesto Diso, also voiced out his sentiment, saying Veguilla's death is another wake-up call on the welfare of field personnel. Veguilla was reportedly hacked to death on Wednesday afternoon by a group of unidentified illegal loggers whose chainsaw were earlier confiscated by the group of Veguilla. An initial report filed by the El Nido police identified a certain Cardo Fulgencio as one of the 6 possible suspects. Authorities are still investigating the case. Police arrest 4 of their colleagues in Las Piñas after being caught drinking while on duty. Meanwhile, surrenderers from the Moro Islamic Liberation Front are expected to receive livelihood. More on this and other news around the metro from Janice Cabe.
4 policemen in Las Piñas were caught drinking during a surprise inspection by the PNP. The 4 cops from Las Piñas Station 6 were found drinking while on duty at the Zapote Road choke point. They have been disarmed and are awaiting the filing of administrative charges. Meanwhile, the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process and TESDA have signed a memorandum of agreement that will give livelihood opportunities to surrendering members of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. OPAP is working on the decommissioning of the MILF Bangsamoro Islamic Armed Forces combatants. About 12,000 MILF members are expected to surrender by March next year in response to the founding of the Bagong Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. In other news, the Presidential Communications Operations Office supports the giving of referrals to Malacanang for individuals. PCOO Chair Martin Andanar agreed with Presidential Spokesperson Salvador Panelo that referring individuals to other government agencies is standard operating procedure for Malacanang. He said this is to ensure that those who need help are referred to the agencies that can help them. Andanar said President Duterte has told them to keep Malacanang's doors open to anyone who needs help. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cabe.
Still to come, the PNP sees no need to issue warrants of arrests against convicts prematurely released through good conduct time allowance. The Tagum City LGU offers a reward for the arrest of the perpetrators of recent shootings in the city. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ulat sa ginagawa ng Presidente.
August 19, Lunes, Malacanang. Nag-courtesy call kay Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte si Russian Ambassador Igor Kovaev. August 20, Martes, Malacanang. Tinanggap ng Pangulo ang credentials ng mga bagong talagang ambassador mula sa Switzerland, Germany, Malaysia, Georgia, Estonia at Malawi. Nag-courtesy call din sa Pangulo si Dr. Abdullah bin Muhammad bin Ibrahim Al-Sheikh, ang Speaker ng Majlis Al-Shura, ang Consultative Council ng Saudi Arabia. August 21, Miyerkules, Tablas Island, Romblon. Pinangunahan ni Pangulong Duterte ang inaugurasyon ng Tumingad Solar Power Project, ang pinakamalaki at kauna-unahang hybrid solar diesel microgrid na may battery facility sa bansa. Nagkakalaga ito ng 550 million pesos at inaasahang magsusupply ng kuryente sa buong Tablas Island.
I am pleased to join you today in inaugurating this hybrid solar diesel power plant that will pave the way to a greener tomorrow for Romblon and the rest of the country. This is indeed a milestone not only for the people of the province but for our environment as well.
Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar at ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
The Philippine National Police sees no need to secure a warrant of arrest for the nearly 2,000 convicts erroneously freed under the Good Conduct Time Allowance who will refuse to surrender to authorities. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde said these convicts who will miss the 15-day deadline given by President Rodrigo Duterte will be treated as fugitives of justice. Albayalde directed the NCRPO to secure the list of names and addresses of those convicts from the Bureau of Corrections and to determine the turnover procedure. The PNP chief also called on the convicts to voluntarily surrender and urged the public to report any information that would lead to their arrest. Meanwhile, those erroneously released through the GCTA who have somehow left the country may still be brought back through an extradition treaty. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said, anyone who goes to a country not covered by this treaty may still be arrested with the help of the host country. Economists are looking at a policy rate cut on the horizon as the domestic inflation rate fell further last August. The Philippine Statistics Authority on Thursday reported that inflation dropped to 1.7% from the previous month's 2.4% due to slower food price increases. ING Bank Manila said the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has indicated another 25 basis point cut in the central bank's rates before the end of the year. Monetary easing is also expected after the second quarter economic growth slid to 5.5%, well below the government's 6 to 7% target for the year. ANZ Research also forecast another BSP rate cut due to sustained easing of inflation rate. Economic managers are confident that growth will recover in the second half of the year as the government catches up, particularly on infrastructure. Meanwhile, local employment increased by 5.7% in July 2019, translating to 2.3 million additional employment. The National Economic and Development Authority said the total number of employed Filipinos reached nearly 43 million due to more jobs in the services and agriculture sectors. Underemployment fell to its lowest rate at 13.9%, while the unemployed rate was steady at 5.4%. The Department of Trade and Industry has launched the Negosyo Serbisyo sa Barangay in Barangay Calmay in Lawak, Pangasinan. The project aims to assist and encourage barangay residents to engage in business. DTI Pangasinan Director Natalia Dalaten said they have already launched the project in the municipalities of Labrador, Lawak, Burgos, Santo Tomas, Balungao, and Basista. It is scheduled to be launched in the municipalities of Natividad, Santa Maria, and Bautista this month. Dalaten further said that they help micro, small, and medium enterprises engaged in the underground economy or those unregistered businesses. The Negosyo Serbisyo sa Barangay program covers the 4th, 5th, and 6th class municipalities or those with low income, targeting 20% of the total barangays of each municipality. The local government of Tagum has condemned the spate of shooting that occurred in the city in recent months. The city issued a statement of condemnation against the shootings, the last of which killed a certain Judy Lou Palas last September 4. Police are looking into various motives for the killings, such as grudges or involvement in a closed investment scam. The city government is offering a reward to anyone who could provide information leading to the suspects. It has also urged the public to be vigilant as it ordered police to get those responsible. The DSWD has provided cash for work benefits for indigents in Bulacan that are affected by climate change. Meanwhile, thousands more from Central Luzon avail of jobs from the Department of Labor and Employment. More on these and other news from the provinces from Teresa Montemayor.
Hundreds of indigent residents in Bulacan joined the program of the Department of Social Welfare and Development that helps communities deal with the impacts of climate change. Under the DSWD's Risk Resiliency Program, Climate Change Adaptation and Mitigation Disaster Risk Reduction, the beneficiaries were given temporary employment through the Cash for Work scheme. Beneficiaries received their compensation of 2,850 pesos each for their 10-day work. The program focuses on empowering communities to become disaster resilient by combating the effects of climate change. In Cebu City, at least 50 Miag-ao children were registered on Thursday in a mass registration of live births in Barangay Mambaling. The National Commission on Indigenous Peoples, or the NCIP, said there are plenty of Miag-aos in Cebu who don't have certificates of live birth, and quite a lot of them are adults, including the tribal chieftain. The NCIP prepared all the certificates of live birth forms, affidavits, and other documents which will then be submitted to the civil registrar. The Public Attorney's Office, or PAO, provided free notarization of certificates and documents as part of the Barangay Outreach Program of the PAO Cebu City District's Office. In Pampanga, over 100,000 job seekers in Central Luzon have found local or overseas employment through the various programs offered by the Department of Labor and Employment in partnership with the region's Public Employment Service offices. DOLE attributed the accomplishment to more employment opportunities such as job fairs that were opened to ensure that more job hunters are employed. Ongoing programs are the Trabaho, Negosyo, Kabuhayan Concept, Special Education for Students, DOLE Integrated Livelihood Program, and the Tulong sa Paghahanap Buhay sa Ating Disadvantaged Workers Program. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Teresa Montemayor.
Up next, the Labor Department plans to deploy more Filipino workers to Yukon Province in Canada. Miag-ao town in Iloilo promotes its textile industry by dressing up dolls in their native Hablon fabric. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
The Philippines has more flavors than it has islands, and that's saying a lot when there's over 7,000.
All Filipino food is a fusion of flavors. Take adobo, for example. So many different flavors involved to make that taste of comfort.
Because the only thing Pinoys love more than eating is making other people eat.
And I'm sure whatever we're putting in it, we're putting it all in one bite and making you eat it.
The amazing thing about adobo is there's no one recipe. You cook with your heart and eat with your mouth.
There's so many ways to wipe out in the Philippines, from serve to table.
Sometimes we just invent reasons to eat.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, merienda.
Pancit palabok for merienda.
Who's merienda?
As with any pancit dish, the noodles are for long life.
Long life, but not long hair.
Our food comes from an incredibly rich culinary history. It may not look it, but there's complex flavors at work here.
Sweet, salty, savory, rich, delicate.
Fish in my chocolate? Why not?
We love mixing it up. 15 flavors for the price of one. One of the country's greatest chefs is a giant dancing bee.
Jollibee! And he's serving up something good.
For Pinoys, half the fun is in savoring the smell of your food.
But all the fun is in eating it.
Oh, so you're one of those people that like pineapple on everything?
No, but with a burger, it's definitely okay.
Says who?
By far, though, nothing is more Pinoy than chicken that's made with joy. We call it Chicken Joy. It's crispy-licious, juicy-licious, and we love dipping it in gravy.
I know this sounds crazy, but we also love sweet spaghetti with red hot dog.
Everyone's always invited to the party. There's Kuya Junjun, Tita Letlet, Tito Boy Boy, and Lola Girlie. No utensils? No problem. Over here, we eat with our hands.
So come on over and join, because eat's more fun when you're part of it.
Cotabato City has formed barangay anti-dengue task forces to help address the rising cases of dengue in the city. Mayor Cynthia Gianni Sayadi signed on Wednesday an order creating the task forces in the city's 37 barangays. It came after the Department of Health declared a national dengue epidemic on August 6 due to high dengue cases in the country. The City Health Office would continue the implementation of the 4 o'clock habit, 4S Contra Dengue at Aksyon Barangay Contra Dengue programs. From January to date, the Cotabato City Health Office listed 677 dengue cases with no deaths. Meanwhile, Iloilo Governor Arthur Defensor Jr. on Wednesday signed an executive order creating the Iloilo Provincial African Swine Fever Task Force. The task force will carry out the proper implementation of the ASF prevention and control measures in the province. The task force will also identify high-risk areas, enhance biosecurity practices in all ports of entry and swine production facilities, among others. The governor assured that the province is free from African swine fever, or ASF. The Department of Labor and Employment on Wednesday said it is looking to deploy more overseas Filipino workers to Canada. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III cited a joint communique that will pave the way for the deployment of skilled workers in the province of Yukon. The DOLE chief noted that the needed workers are machine operators, cooks and chefs, among others. However, mostly needed are equipment operators and engineers since the area is a mining territory. Bello reported that Filipinos in Yukon, numbering about 3,000 out of the 20,000 total population, are happy with their lives there. He has proposed to adopt a government-to-government arrangement to be able to deploy Filipino workers with minimum requirements. Bello said they are eyeing to start deployment in November. Dubai-based Emirates and the Department of Tourism on Thursday signed a deal to promote the Philippines in the Middle East, Europe, and other markets serviced by the Gulf carrier. Under the agreement, DOT and Emirates will jointly market promotions, do familiarization tours and roadshows to also boost opportunity for trade. Tourism Undersecretary Benito Bengzon Jr. said the partnership is a welcome development to the agency's efforts to attract tourists from long-haul countries in Europe and the Middle East. Meanwhile, the World Travel and Tourism Council urges cities lacking in nature and heritage destinations to focus on its unique features to draw in tourists. WTTC Regional Director Nigel David underscored that the Philippines is host to large areas that can be promoted as a variety compared to the usual destinations the country is known for. For his part, Singapore Tourism Management Institute Chair Robin Yap said development has to be based on the uniqueness of the city. Miag-ao in Iloilo has celebrated the Hablon festival to promote the native textile industry. This year's festival featured dolls dressed in Hablon clothes to highlight the fabric's many uses. More on this from Janice Cave.
Dolls intricately dressed with remnants of Hablon fabric were the latest attraction on the 6th Hablon Festival in Miag-ao Town, Iloilo Province. Dubbed Retazo Hablon sa Muñeca, the activity has gathered 10 local designers who vied for the on-the-spot creation of gowns out of leftover Hablon fabric. The dolls were displayed at the Miag-ao Cultural Hall on Wednesday. Anthony Celorio, Miag-ao Tourism Officer, said the competition had underscored the flexible uses of the Hablon fabric. The Retazo Hablon sa Muñeca is also a way of preserving the hand-woven fabric, as leftover materials usually end up either as cleaning rags or become useless altogether. 10 dolls dressed in Hablon gowns were posted on the official Facebook page of the local government unit. Celorio said many netizens inquired and expressed interest in purchasing the dolls. In the meantime, the dolls will serve as a token for dignitaries to show Miag-ao's pride in its local products. The tourism officer stressed the impact of the Hablon Festival in promoting the product and recognizing local weavers. The Hablon industry in Miag-ao is continued to be supported by the national government. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Here's another look at today's biggest stories.
A Manila court orders the arrest of CPP founder Joma and several others for involvement in the inupakan mass purge of the NPA. The PNP sees no need for arrest warrants against convicts prematurely released through good conduct time allowance. The Tagum LGU offers a reward for the arrest of the perpetrators of recent shootings in the city. And Miag-ao town in Iloilo promotes its textile industry by dressing up dolls in their native Hablon fabric.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And as we head into the weekend, so as we don't get too disappointed in people, remember that there are no perfect people, only perfect moments. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.